Good afternoon. Welcome to Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. This is Kelly, and I am back for another true crime case. I apologize as I do not have my microphone again because I'm laid up this time with a sprained ankle and a couple of cracked ribs. I fell yesterday out on the porch. I've got to watch myself from falling. I mean, my gosh, this was horrible. This was a bad one. They told me it was fractured, and then I went back to another doctor, and they said it wasn't. So it's a sprain, which is good. I have the whole weekend to rest up before I go back to work on Monday, but I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're now less than a week away, and I cannot believe we're that close to Thanksgiving. It just amazes me. Today's the 22nd. Wow. Okay. First I am drinking Java Mama Gingerbread House. Gingerbread House is a new flavor in our Christmas flavors. We have quite a few Christmas flavors up right now. Some from last year and some new ones. So Gingerbread House is like holidays in my mouth. That's what I call it. Very, very good cinnamon taste. Wonderful holiday blend. Okay. I will leave that link in the show notes in case you want to go on and do some gift shopping or something like that, even for yourself. Okay, my sources today are thecharleyproject.org, and that's CHARLEY, and that's the one that I donated. I just did the monthly donation yesterday on this. So I donate, you give $5, I donate half of that to the Charley Project. So right now I only have a few members, so it's about a $10 donation that I do. So I did that, and that is for missing persons. My other sources are storiesoftheunsolved.com and wikipedia.org. Evelyn Grace Hartley was born in Charleston, Illinois, November 21st, 1938. Her parents were Richard and Ethel. She was the youngest of four, and she lost one of her brothers to polio in 1946. 3 years later, the family moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin. Evelyn was 15 and attended Central High School. She was in the junior class. Now, she was an excellent student. She did all kinds of things. She was involved in so many activities. And she also belonged to a church community. She was an officer of the Presbyterian Youth Program, and she also loved to ski, swim, and play tennis, and even more things that I didn't even list because she was really busy. I mean, it's wonderful to see, young people into so much. October 24th, 1953, La Crosse State College professor, his name was Viggo Rasmussen, and his family they were all going to attend the big homecoming game. Now, this is now called the University of Wisconsin La Crosse. So that's the same college, and this was big. I mean, this was the big game. But they needed a babysitter. They had a 20-month-year-old daughter named Janice, and they needed a babysitter since their usual babysitter was going to be going to the game. So they needed to find a babysitter. Well, Evelyn accepted the job when he asked her because she was pretty well responsible. She was a very responsible 15-year-old. But later she was going to change her mind. I never found out why. I don't know if she was going to attend the game or she just didn't, had something else that she thought she was going to do. But her mother would not let her bail on them. It's like, you accepted the job, you need to take it. So her father told her to call home at 8:30 just to check in that you're there and everything. Again, way before cell phones existed. So you didn't have any trackers or anything back then. You had to rely on a landline, and you didn't know who was calling either. That's the thing. There was no caller ID. There was nothing like that. The Rasmussen family lived in a newer part of town. Now, Viggo went and picked her up around 6:20 p.m., And they lived in a newer part of town, so some stuff wasn't built yet. So they didn't have very many streetlights built. So it was very minimal lighting in that neighborhood. So like I said, there wasn't much installed yet. They left after Evelyn she put her school books on the table when she got there. And that's when the Rasmussen family, parents, I think they only had the 120-month-old baby. They left. And Evelyn's father was waiting for her to call him at 8:30, like, he asked her to, but the phone call never came. So he called the Rasmussen residence, and there was no answer. So he went to the house. He got really worried. He started thinking, why, what's going on here? So he went to the house, and he found the lights on and a radio. The doors were locked when he tried the doors. So he knocked, and he even rang the doorbell. So the doors were locked. So it wasn't like anybody had gotten in. There was nothing crazy or unusual about the door, basically. But he was just knocking, and they could hear the radio. And he rang the doorbell. No answer. He was getting more and more worried. So he started looking through the windows. He looked through the main window, the main window to the living room, and he saw Evelyn's glasses and one of her shoes on the floor. He walked around the house to the other rooms, and he found an open window in the back of the house that led to the basement. The screen had been removed and put up against the house on the ground. There was a stepladder inside the window, just like under the window. And he actually went inside the window and found Evelyn's other shoe in the basement. Now, the family had been painting in that basement, so that was the reason for the stepladder. I don't know if they were the ones that put it under the window. That I don't know. I never found out if they're the ones that did that, but that looked kind of suspicious to have the little stepladder under the window. Now, as he was looking through the house, he found the baby asleep in the crib, unharmed. So nothing was wrong with the baby at all. When Richard checked out the rooms, he found the baby. Evelyn's school books were scattered and her glasses were broken. Now, he knew something was, definitely after this. This is, I would be so frantic. The furniture was also messed up. It was just like haphazard, I don't know if it was turned over, but it just was not in the regular position. And then he also found blood present. So the neighbors saw him out walking around the house and wondered, what's he doing over there? So they went over to talk to him. Then they called the police after he told them what was going on. And the police found pry marks on 3 windows. So they tried 2 windows. This is what they're investigating, that they tried 2 windows first before they decided on the third one, the one that they opened, took the screen off and opened and went in. Blood was found in many areas. There were 2 pools in the yard by the basement window and a bloody handprint on the garage, 4 inches from the ground. Other stains were found on the neighbor's exterior wall. And the blood matched Evelyn's. It looked like Evelyn had been carried through the yard and then rested on the ground, and that's where the pooling was. This was during their investigation, is what they gather, that she had been carried and then put on the ground. Now, they found footprints in the basement window box. Like the little, I don't know exactly what else you call that, where, you got your little baby. My husband knows. But they found blood in that area, and then also inside the living room. And, of course, that's what Richard had seen. Now, they think Evelyn had been taken out the basement window because of the blood they found, inside that window box. And there was also some footprints they found from sneakers, and it had a distinct pattern, like a suction cup pattern on the bottom I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't know if it's like circles that are like indented. I don't know. I'm just trying to visualize suction cup patterns. But those were, let's see, I thought I had written down where those were found. I think it was in the living room, in the basement window, out by the basement window. So, and these were bloody footprints. I mean, that's what I gather. I don't know if I read it was bloody because it just said footprints, but I would think there would be blood on the bottom because in a living room, you know what I mean? So I would think there'd be blood on the bottom of the footprints. Now, on the bottom of the shoes. There was also a button with red threads that was found by a window, by the basement window, and Evelyn had worn red denim jeans or pants. They call them pants, but they're like little, red denim jeans. And they did not collect this button because it blew away. They didn't collect it. And again, like I said, investigations were really different back then. So dogs were brought in. They tracked Evelyn's scent for 2 blocks and then stopped. And that's where they thought she had been put into a vehicle. A suspicious car was seen in the area by residents. One said it was a light-colored vehicle circling the area, they noticed, around 8 p.m. Another person claimed to have heard screams around 7 p.m., thinking it was kids playing. And then there was a guy named Ed Hoffer. He told investigators that he had been out driving around at 7:15 p.m. and was almost hit by a 2-tone green 1941 or 1942 Buick. He saw 2 men inside. One was driving, one was in the back seat, and there was a girl slumped over with her head leaning against the front seat. Now, he thought they were just people going to the homecoming game, and he thought if it was the same people, he thought he saw them staggering down the street before this happened, like sometime before this happened. So now in that location where he said he saw them, that's near the area where the pooling of blood was found. Several days later, a pair of underwear and a bra were both found near an underpass. And that was on Highway 14, both bloodstained. The underwear was menstrual blood, and it was Evelyn's blood type. A pair of men's blood-stained pants were found 4 miles down the same road, and nothing came of those. That was from someone unknown. It was unknown to the case anyway. Now, they found blood-stained shoes, size 11 sneakers with the same similar pattern on the bottom, that suction cup pattern, and a size 36 denim jacket. These were also found in the Coon Valley area, which is southwest of La Crosse. Now, the sneakers were called Hood Mogul, like that's like the brand name or the kind of shoes they were, and they were sold in Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and Minnesota. Whoever owned them is believed to have worked with machinery, and the wear and tear on them looked like the person would ride a Whizzer motorbike. I'm not sure what that is. That's the name of it. Whizzer. Whizzer. The denim jacket was too small for someone who wore size 11 shoes. But they did take them to 31 different communities. 10,000 people looked at them, but nothing came of this. So there was no like, what do I want to say? So sorry. My cat is distracting me. There was no matches in this. Nobody claimed to have seen any or owned or seen anything like this or knew anybody that wore them. Now, this was one of the largest missing persons searches in Wisconsin history. 2,000 people volunteered. The National Guard and even the Boy Scouts helped search for Evelyn. They searched local vehicles, dug graves. They reopened the graves in case she had been buried. Farmers were told to inspect their land. There was a clam, I got written down here, I think it's Clam Lake near Fairmont, Minnesota, was dragged because a fisherman said that he found a bobby pin he found hair and a bobby pin inside of his hook when he was fishing, and he ended up snagging. The hook ended up snagging, underwater, how they snag on the ground. Well, so he ended up throwing it back in thinking it was nothing. Well, then when they dragged the lake, they didn't find anything. They didn't even find that. They didn't even find the hair. So they found nothing in the search. Evelyn's father and Viggo Rasmussen passed polygraph tests, because I had a feeling that one of them or both of them were going to be suspected of something. But, okay, there was a 20-year-old guy who offered to give info for $500 in a bribe. The family called police right away, and they set up a trap, like for the exchange, like a sting. He was arrested along with a 13-year-old boy. He had the 13-year-old boy participate with him. He talked him into it. They were both convicted and served time for it, but I don't know how much. Now, and I never got the guy's name. They were never able to find who took Evelyn Hartley. Her case is considered a homicide. Now, there are some theories, but I want to talk about what I found on the Charley Project. She's a white female, brown hair, blue eyes, size 34 to 36. This is what she wore. Size 34 to 36, plain white, broad cloth, ship and shore blouse with pearl buttons. She had the red denim pants on, had a side zipper. They were rolled up above the ankle, and she wore white bobby socks. I never got the shoes. I don't know if she had shoes on when she went missing. I'm thinking she didn't. She was a type A blood type, and she was 5'7" and 126 pounds. I know this was years ago, but I wanted to get that on here. You can go to the Charley Project. They on the site, they have all kinds of missing persons that they list, and I donate to them through my Patreon and Spotify Premium accounts. That's where the donations go to, and that is CHARLEY project.org. Okay, here's the theories that they come up with. They thought Ed Gein, if anybody knows who he is, he was in La Crosse visiting relatives on the night of Evelyn's disappearance, just a few blocks away from the Rasmussen house. Ed Gein was a serial killer up in Wisconsin where he dug graves. He also killed people, I heard, but he not only that, but he dug their graves up. And this was loosely based on Psycho, the movie, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I heard he was also a little bit, they used that inspiration for Silence of the Lambs. But this was just a few blocks away. Now, he was questioned in 1957 of another disappearance of a barmaid. They searched his property. I read that they found the barmaid's remains there, but there was nothing found of Evelyn. Now, he passed 2 polygraphs and he was cleared. Another theory was mistaken identity, that maybe the target was the Rasmussen's regular babysitter, because they had a regular babysitter, and they thought, well, maybe it was someone who was after her, and Evelyn was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Then they thought, well, maybe it was just random. Maybe it was just a homeless person that came in and took her. Another one was a robbery, because most of the people were at the homecoming game, they wouldn't be home. So, but the problem with that was nothing of value was missing from the house. Plus, she had the lights on, the radio was on. I mean, back then they had radios. Not everybody had a television. So there is another theory that came out sort of recently, 2004. Now, this was back before smartphones. And at first when I read this, I thought a phone was involved, but it wasn't. I think it was just a regular camera. There was an audio recording. There was a guy named Mel Williams who went to a bar to see a band play. And this is usually what me and my husband have done so much through the years. And we actually met in 2004. So he went to see a band play. He was recording the show. And it got on the show, these guys were talking. And you could hear a guy named Jack Gaulfair, if that's how you say the name, Gaulphair. A guy named Clyde Peterson, and then there was a third person who was unnamed. They were discussing that they had murdered Evelyn and buried her in Lafarge, Wisconsin, Lafarge. The Peterson guy, Clyde Peterson, told Mel to stop recording after he noticed he was recording, so he did, and nothing else was heard on this tape, and Mel didn't remember what was said after this. Now, the third guy that was unnamed and Jack Gallfair are now deceased. Nothing else came out about this publicly. They were to look into this. The police said they were looking into this, but publicly there was nothing else said. And this was in 2004. That's 20 years ago. So you would think something would have come out by now. If this, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine. You're recording something and then you watch it back and you hear this. He probably didn't even hear it while he was recording the show. But it's like, if you tell him to stop recording, why would you tell him to stop recording? Go somewhere else and start talking about it, I just thought that was, I don't know. It was just like, I wish maybe he would have told him he stopped recording, but didn't, Anyway, Janice Rasmussen, the baby who Evelyn babysat, she spoke up about this years later, saying that her parents moved from the house shortly after this happened. Her and her sister were never allowed to babysit. And their father installed bars on the basement windows of the house that they lived in, when they moved. Probably the current house too, depending on when they moved. This case, which I did not know, was featured on a 2016 episode of The Vanished. If anybody's ever listened to that podcast, it is very good. I don't remember hearing of this case. It popped up when I was looking at like something else, or I was looking into older murders or missing persons cases or anything, and it just came up. It just popped up like when I was searching for stuff. And this case, I just can't believe I haven't heard of this. And of course it happened before I was born, which, probably many of us weren't born yet. I don't know, there could be. I know my mom was around, and I don't know if she probably didn't hear about this, but she wasn't very old when this happened. So, actually, she could have been right around Evelyn's age. Yeah, my mom could have been she's probably right around my dad's age, Evelyn. So, if anybody, and I know this is a long shot, has any information, you can always let the La Crosse, Wisconsin Police Department know. I did not get a phone number, but I'm sure it's easy to find. Or if anybody has any input on this case, please let me know. You can comment on Spotify. You can email me, or I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, X, which used to be Twitter. I will leave everything in the show notes. I'm just very, very curious about this. I know this is a long shot. My podcast is not really well known, but I just thought I should add her details in this episode. So, I'm so sorry I did not get an episode out last week, and I'm so sorry this did not end up as an early access one for my Patreon members because I was injured. I'm so sorry, but this one's been on my list for a couple weeks now to do, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope, if you have any suggestions, please send them my way. I'm all about the Midwest, but I would also go outside the Midwest if there's cases that need to be known and you're having trouble finding a podcast that will do them. Please let me know, because I am open to suggestions. And I'm trying to think of what else I've been doing. I've been watching the series From on MGM. Boy, that's good. What a good series. I'm not done with it yet. It's still going on, actually, but I'm not through the second season yet. So that's highly recommended if you have MGM. If you like some freaky stuff, not really jump scares. I think I maybe jumped once or twice, and that was it. It's pretty good. It is good. I'm trying to think of what else I have watched. I talked about it on the Patreon episode, but now I'm trying to remember. I watched the movie Trap with Josh Hartnett. If anybody's seen that, please let me know what you thought of the ending. I was so into that. I kept thinking, what's going to happen next? What's he going to do now? Now what? So I wasn't bored at all through this movie, but the end, I'm like, Oh no, it's over now? What? Like, come on. Give me some else. There needs to be a part two. That's what I got to say. But anyway, but I do recommend it because it is good. I mean, you're really into it. It's just the ending kind of, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm like confused on that one. And then we started to watch the new Twister, but it was so late at night I had to go to bed. I got so tired. I'm going to go back to it. I have not finished watching it. I love the first one. From what I saw, the second one, it looked good, but it wasn't one that I don't think I'll like it as well as the first one, which normally happens. Usually it happens. Sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does. But I'm going to go back to it and watch the rest of it sometime. But I want to thank everybody for your support. Thank you for listening. If you cannot support me on Patreon or Spotify Premium, review on Apple always helps. Or rating the podcast. It does cost just $5. And I do 3 bonus episodes a month, and I've had it for over a year. So you will have all those bonus episodes to listen to. All of them for $5, and they're from everywhere, everywhere, and many of them I do that movies were based on. I try to find more of those that movies were based on, like loosely based, like they get the inspiration from, or ones that are really based on the whole, the movie, the case, and I really like doing those. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful time with family or friends, or you're just by yourself, whatever, but just relax, be thankful, count your blessings, maybe do a gratitude list, maybe, I don't know, sometimes I do those. And it really helps to think about, don't take anything for granted. And right now, I'm not taking my ankles for granted and my ability to walk for granted, let me tell you. Oh my gosh. So have a good one, everybody. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you next time.